I'm rolling into my driveway, grocery bags thumping, when I spot Karen Withers, HOA Queen Bee, dragging my hose across my yard like it's hers. She's in a floral blouse, sun hat flopping, hooking it to a pressure washer, blasting her porch clean. No shame, no asking. I'm sitting there, jaw on the floor, and she waves big and cheery, shouting, "Hope you don't mind, just a quick rinse." Like I'm funding her spa day. What's a guy do when a water thief dares him to fight back? Stick around, this gets stinky. Smash that like button. Let's hit 29 likes for this video. I shuffled out to my front yard one morning, coffee mug steaming in my hand, the air still cool with that early bite before the sun gets mean. The grass squished under my sneakers, wet, soggy like it had been hosed down all night. I stopped, frowning, watching little puddles glint between the blades. My coffee went cold as I stood there, staring. I live alone. No kids, no roommates, no secret garden gnomes with a watering fetish. Just me, my rusty grill out back, and a tomato plant that's been gasping for life since June. So why was my lawn a swamp? I crouched, ran a hand over the hose coiled by the spigot. Warm, too warm for dawn. My water bill been creeping up lately, not a little jump, but a spike like I was running a fountain show. I don't even own sprinklers, just this one hose, and it's not magic. I straightened up, sipping my coffee, bitter now, and scanned the street. Quiet houses, neat lawns, the usual. Then I saw her, Karen Withers' new neighbor, HOA busybody, strutting down her driveway, clipboard in hand, red blouse screaming against the morning gray. She'd moved in a couple months back and hit the ground running. Complaints about shutter colors, grass length, even a mailman's parking. Queen of the block, minus the crown. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe a pipe burst or the spigot leaked. I checked, dry as bone underneath. No cracks, no drips. But that warm hose stuck in my head, nagging. I asked around. Old Glenn, 2 doors down, shrugged, said his yard is fine. Mrs. Patel across the way just smiled, offered me a muffin. Everyone was dry except me. Then Saturday rolled around, and I caught her. I just pulled in from the grocery store, bags thumping in the trunk, when I saw it. Karen, sun hat flopping, dragging my hose across my yard like it was her lifeline. She hooked it to a pressure washer, aimed it at her porch, and let it rip, water blasting, wood gleaming, no shame. I sat in my car, jaw slack, watching her wave at me, big, cheery like we were pals. "Hope you don't mind, just a quick rinse," she hollered, turning back to her spray job. I gripped the wheel, steam practically hissing from my ears. Didn't mind? She was stealing my water, in broad daylight, grinning like I'd thank her for it. I could have stormed over, yanked the hose back, but my gut said wait. I slid inside, groceries forgotten, and stared at my kitchen faucet like it had snitched on me. Later, I knocked on her door, calm, polite, asked if her water line was busted or something. She laughed, airy and sharp. "Oh no, yours is just better. Great pressure. It's all community property anyway, right?" Community property? I nearly choked. Last I checked, my paycheck wasn't funding her porch spa. "I'd rather you ask first," I said, keeping it even. She tilted her head, smiled that HOA smile, half pity, half power, and chirped, "We're supposed to share, being neighborly. I'm sure the HOA won't mind." Then she shut the door, bam, conversation over. I stood there, blinking at her red-painted wood, feeling like I'd just lost a round I didn't know I was fighting. My water, my bill, her rules. Queen Karen had spoken. Back home, I paced the kitchen, coffee cold on the counter. She wasn't just bold. She was untouchable, or thought she was. HOA badge or not, this wasn't her turf to claim. I grabbed my laptop, fired off an email to the HOA, pics of my soggy yard, my bill, a nice little note asking about this community property nonsense. Days later, the reply pinged in, "Resolve it amicably. HOA won't intervene." Translation, deal with it, sucker. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. Karen Withers wasn't just a neighbor. She was a thief with a clipboard, and I was her personal well. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. The next morning, I woke to that same soggy squish under my sneakers, coffee sloshing in my mug as I stepped outside. My lawn glistened, wet again, little rivers snaking through the grass. The hose lay there, coiled by the spigot, dripping like it was mocking me. Karen Withers had struck overnight. Her porch across the street sparkled, free of dust, while my water bill ticked higher. I gritted my teeth, steam rising from my cup. The HOA email still burned in my inbox. Resolve it amicably, like I was supposed to bake her cookies and call it even. No chance. This was my yard, my water, and she wasn't getting it for free. I headed to the hardware store, sun climbing hot overhead. Picked up a hose lock, simple, sturdy, a metal clasp to snap the spigot shut. Back home, I knelt in the damp grass, wrench in hand, locking it tight, click done. She needed a key or a miracle to turn that on now. I dusted my hands, smirking. Problem solved. Or so I thought. Next on, I shuffled out, mug steaming, expecting a dry yard. The grass squished, wet again, and my stomach dropped. The lock, gone. Not popped off, sliced clean through, jagged edges glinting where bolt cutters had bitten. I stood there, staring, coffee forgotten. She hadn't just bypassed it, she'd hacked it. Across the street, Karen's SUV gleamed, spotless, freshly rinsed, while she hummed, red blouse bright, hosing down her driveway like it was a catwalk. Water sprayed in arcs, glinting in the sun, my water, my dime. I marched over, shoes slapping wet pavement, voice steady but sharp. What happened to my lock? She paused mid-spray and turned, big sun hat flopping, grin wide. Oh, that thing? Safety hazard. Someone could have tripped. I took care of it. She flipped her hair, went back to scrubbing her tires, casual, like she'd done me a favor. I blinked, heat creeping up my neck. That's my hose, Karen. Stop using it. She waved the nozzle, water flicking my way. Works great, keeping in shape for you. I walked back, fist balled, her humming trailing behind me. Inside, I slumped at the kitchen table, staring at the wall for a solid 10 minutes. The HOA wouldn't lift a finger. Karen was untouchable, a clipboard-wielding leech with no shame. She'd turned my water into her personal spa, and I was bankrolling it. That's when it hit me. Fighting her head-on was pointless. She'd twist it, play victim, lean on her HOA clout. I needed proof, cold, hard, undeniable. I grabbed my phone, ordered a motion-activated cam. Tiny, cheap, perfect for tucking under the gutter near the spigot. If I couldn't stop her, I'd catch her. 2 days later, the cam was up, hidden, blinking ready. That night, I barely slept, ears perked for the hiss of water. Morning came, dry grass, no puddles. I almost relaxed. Then the app pinged, 3 a.m. footage. There she was creeping across my yard, red pajamas loud, even in the dark, dragging my hose like a cartoon bandit. She hooked it up, watering her roses, filling a kiddie pool, rinsing her yapping dog, all before dawn broke. Smug grin the whole time, like she owned the night. I saved the clip, heart pounding. Crystal clear, Karen Withers, water thief, in 4K glory. I posted it to the neighborhood forum. Neighbor steals my water every morning, and watched it blow up. Comments flooded, laughs, gasps. That's Karen, all right. Glenn 2 doors down chimed in. She narked on my hammock, too colorful. Mrs. Patel added, caught her eye in my roses once. The street was waking up, and Karen's crown was slipping. She'd dare me to fight back. Thought I'd roll over. She didn't know I'd spent years fixing problems quiet-like, or that I'd just lit a match under her HOA throne. This was round 1, and I was playing to win. The sun peeked over the rooftops, casting long shadows across my dry lawn. First morning in weeks without that soggy squish. I stood on the porch, coffee warm in my hands, smirking at the hose coiled by the spigot. Untouched, innocent looking. That 4K clip of Karen Withers sneaking around my yard at 3 a.m., hose in tow, had hit the neighborhood forum like a brick through a window. Shares piled up, laughs, angry emojis, folks spilling their own Karen tales. Her HOA armor was cracking, and I could almost hear her fuming across the street, red curtains twitching behind her blinds. Then she came for me. Mid-morning, a sharp rap on my door. There she stood, no sun hat, just a red blouse stretched tight, arms crossed, jaw set like granite. You're violating my privacy, she snapped, voice slicing the air. That video's ruining my reputation, creating a hostile environment. I leaned on the frame, coffee mug steady, keeping it cool. You're stealing my water, Karen, trespassing on my property. That's on you. She huffed, eyes blazing. Do something about it. I dare you. Then she spun on her heel, stomping off, leaving her dare hanging like smoke. I shut the door, grinning slow. Oh, I do something all right. Her words lit a fire, quiet, steady, the kind that doesn't flicker out. No more nice guy emails to the HOA. No more lock sheet snip. I tried playing fair. Got me nowhere but a wet yard and a fat bill. Karen thought her dare was a flex, her HOA cloud a shield. She didn't know I'd spent years fixing messes, leaky faucets, broken deals, without raising my voice. I sipped my coffee, mind racing. Cameras were good, proof was gold, but stopping her meant hitting back, something she'd feel. Something she'd regret every time she saw a hose. I took a day off, blinds down, coffee brewing, watching her house like a hawk. Around 10:30, that familiar hiss, spigot turning, hose scraping across my grass. I peeked out, Karen, red yoga pants loud as her attitude, spraying her driveway like I wasn't home. She glanced my way, hesitated, then kept going, waving the nozzle with a smirk. See? Works great. I didn't bite, just filmed, phone steady, her entitlement in full color. Inside, I uploaded it. Local Karen turns neighbor's hose into personal water park, and the forum erupted again. She's shameless. HOA's useless. But I knew. Clips wouldn't stop her. She'd double down, lean harder on her clipboard cronies. That afternoon, driving past a construction site, inspiration hit, literally stunk. A crew was rigging a temporary sewage tank. Big, industrial, the kind for portable johns. Brown, sludgy water sloshed inside, ripe enough to gag a horse. I pulled over, chatted up a worker, casual, friendly, slipped him a 24 testing access one night. Don't mess the pump, he shrugged, pocketing the cash. Good enough. At home, I dug into my toolbox, pieced together an adapter, ran a second hose underground hidden behind bushes straight to that tank. My main hose looked normal, coiled green, harmless, but turn it on, and it'd pull from the sewer, not the tap. Nasty, legal, perfect. Night fell, moon barely a sliver. I rigged it up, dirt under my nails, cam rolling to catch the setup. Tested it in a bucket. Brown sludge gurgled out, stench hitting like a punch. I grinned, wiping my hands. Karen wanted water? She'd get a flood she'd never forget. Next morning, I left the hose out, bait dangling, tempting, coffee in hand, waiting. The app pinged, 10:30 sharp, Karen dragging it over, red top blazing, hooking it to a fancy sprinkler. She twisted the spigot, and I leaned back, phone live. Her dare was about to blow up, literally, in her face. Round 2. Karen, and this one's going to stink. I sat in my kitchen, coffee gone cold, eyes glued to the phone screen. Live feed from the cam flickering as the clock hit 10:30 a.m. The hose lay coiled in my yard, green and innocent, hooked to that underground sewage line I'd rigged last night. Across the street, Karen Withers' front door swung open, red top bold as a stop sign, sun hat flopping, a fancy rotating sprinkler in her hands. She strutted over, clipboard nowhere in sight, dragging my hose like it was her birthright. I leaned forward, breath caught, her dare echoing in my head. Do something. Oh, I had. She knelt by her lawn, hooking the hose to that sprinkler, shiny, spinning, the kind that paints big wet circles. She twisted the spigot, all smug, expecting her usual clean blast. A gurgle first, low weird, then a sputter. Her head tilted, brows knitting. Then it hit. A thick dart jet of sewage shot out, brown and chunky, spraying wide, soaking her grass, splattering her white wicker chairs. The sprinkler spun, once, twice, blasting her patio, her flower pots, her shins. She shrieked, high, wild like a cat in a storm, slipping on the wet grass, arms flailing as the stench rolled in, thick and rotten. Neighbors popped out, Glenn gawking from his porch, Mrs. Patel's gasp loud across the way. Someone dropped a coffee mug, crash on concrete, as Karen wrestled the hose, yanking it free. Too late, another spray hit, sludge streaking her sandals, her legs, dripping down her red top. She coughed, screamed, "What is this?" Face twisted, hands clawing the air. I bit my lip, laughter bubbling up, watching her skid through the mess. Her perfect lawn, now a stinking swamp. A guy across the street whipped out his phone, filming, grinning, while Karen spun, wild-eyed, spotting me in my window. "You!" she bellowed, voice cracking, pointing a dripping finger. I stepped outside, casual as Sunday, coffee mug in one hand, waving with the other. "You told me to do something, so I did." I called, voice steady, grin breaking wide. Her face went red, then green, rage and nausea duking it out, as she stomped over, sandals squelching, sludge trailing. "This is a biohazard. Lawsuits. I'll ruin you," she yelled, close enough I could smell it. Ripe eye-watering. I shrugged. "Water's not stolen this time. Your sprinkler, your mess." She froze, mouth flapping, then stormed back, muttering threats, her kingdom crumbling in real time. By noon, the street was buzzing, neighbors whispering, pointing at her ruined patio. That guy's video hit the forum, Sewage Karen strikes out, and it spread fast. Laughs, gasps, she had it coming, piling up. I watched it loop, slow mo of her slipping, dramatic zooms on her shriek. Internet gold. Karen banged on my door later, still stinking, red top, splotch brown. "Take it down," she hissed, fistballed. "You're trespassing, again," I said calm, pointing at my cam blinking overhead. "Keep it up, I've got more footage." She huffed, spun away, defeated for now. That night, I scrubbed the hose, back to tap water, no trace of the tank, and leaned back, sipping a beer. The clip broke 1 million views. Reddit, TikTok, even local news pinging. HOA members' sewage slip-up. Karen's HOA clout? Toast. Her porch stayed dark, curtains shut tight, but I knew her type. Cornered, not done. She dared me, thought I'd fold. Didn't count on a quiet guy with a toolbox and a grudge. My lawn was dry, my bills safe for now, but this wasn't the end. She'd lick her wounds, plot something. I'd be ready. Cameras rolling, hose gleaming, waiting for her next move. Round 3 was hers to start, if she dared. The morning after the sewage storm, I stepped onto my porch, coffee steaming in the crisp air, and breathed deep. No stench, no squish, just dry grass underfoot. Across the street, Karen Withers' house sat quiet. Curtains drawn, patio furniture gone, her once spotless lawn a patchy, stained mess. That viral clip, Sewage Karen Strikes Out, had hit 4 million views overnight, comments rolling in like thunder. She deserved it. It's always a joke. My hose lay coiled by the spigot, gleaming innocent in the sunlight. Back to tap water, no trace of the tank. I sipped my coffee, grinning. She'd dare me to fight back. I delivered, and the street was still laughing. By noon, the fallout hit. A moving truck growled up her drive, big, dented, tires chewing the curb. Karen stormed out, red blouse swapped for a gray sweatshirt, barking at the movers lugging her pink flamingo statue. Neighbors watched, Glenn sipping tea on his stoop, Mrs. Patel peering over her roses. No waves, no goodbyes. She caught my eye, glare hot enough to scorch pavement, then turned back to her boxes, muttering. I leaned on my railing, beer in hand now, letting her stew. The forum buzzed, she's out. Pics of the truck spreading fast. Her HOA crown? Smashed. That sludge-soaked slip had stripped her bare. Queen no more. She didn't go quiet. Next day, an envelope slid under my door. HOA letterhead, all caps, fine, $600, health violation, hazardous conditions. Karen's last swing, claiming I'd turned her yard into a biohazard. I called the office, voice calm, demanding answers. Got shuffled through 3 board members. Finally, one coughed up. She's got photos, witnesses. Witnesses? I smirked, grabbing my footage. Weeks of her sneaking, timestamps crisp. Hose theft, lot cutting, trespassing. I mailed it back, thick packet, neon yellow, HOA bylaw highlighted. Utilities misuse, fine suspension for violators. Checkmate. 2 days later, word leaked, special meeting, Karen fined $500, warned off HOA perks. Her witnesses crumbled. Nobody backed her stench-soaked sob story. The street shifted fast. Glenn knocked. Shy grin. Handed me a beer. She narked on my hammock. Good riddance. Mrs. Patel dropped off a pie. Heard she eyed my roses too. Folks who dodged her clipboard patrols now stopped to chat. Smiles real, not forced. A for sale sign stabbed her lawn. House listed quick, sold in a week to a young couple with a toddler. They waved day one, cookies in hand. Mind if we use our own hose? Normalcy hit like a bomb. I almost laughed. Karen took the long way out, truck rumbling off, avoiding my street. I raised my beer. Peace reclaimed, her dare drowned in her own mess. Online, it didn't stop. That clip spawned memes. Karen slipping in slow-mo, opera swelling, Reddit threads, TikTok stitches, when Karens get hosed. A stranger emailed, sell hose justice shirts? And I chuckled, tempted. Local news ran it. HOA members' sewage slip sparks uproar. Her real estate gig tanked. Clients bailed. Her agency cut ties. We respect property rights. Even her HOA cronies bailed. One resigned, silent. The rest dodged her calls. She tried to come back, posted a whiny video, red top back, claiming jealous neighbors targeted me. It flopped, comments roasted, Crimea's sewer, and sank fast. A week later, calm settled, eerie sweet. I fired up the grill, ribs sizzling, smoke curling, neighbors trickling in. Glenn hauled a cooler, Mrs. Patel's kids splashed a sprinkler. Theirs not mine, laughter bouncing off the fences. Someone left a gold hose nozzle on my step. No note, just a nod to the legend. My tomato plant perked up, green tips poking through, watered by me, not stolen. Karen's ghost lingered, a blog pinged from Devon across town. She's here, hosing cars again. I sent in my valve trick, Karen Withers, traveling plague, met her match twice now. I leaned back, beer cold, watching the sun dip, lawn dry, bill flat, street alive. She'd come for my water, my peace. Thought her HOA badge made her bulletproof. Didn't count on a quiet guy with a cam, a tank, and a grudge. The cam stayed up, catching kids' laughter now, not thieves. If she ever rolled back, I'd be ready. Hose coiled, valve primed. But for now, I'd won. Karen dethroned, neighborhood free, and my coffee tasted better than ever. The sun dipped low, painting my yard gold as I stood by the grill, ribs crackling, smoke swirling into the dusk. Across the street, Karen Withers' old house glowed. New folks laughing, their toddler chasing a sprinkler that wasn't mine. My hose lay coiled, quiet now, no longer a thief's toy. The neighborhood hummed, Glenn's hammock swaying, Mrs. Patel's roses blooming, folks chatting over fences instead of ducking Karen's clipboard. That sewage-soaked showdown, her slipping, shrieking, the internet roaring, had flipped the script. She dared me to fight. I dared her to lose. She moved out, fined, forgotten, queen dethroned by a guy with a camera and a grudge. My lawn stayed dry. My bill shrank, and peace settled in like an old friend. But it wasn't just about winning, or the 4 million views, the memes, the hose justice buzz. It was bigger. Karen thought she could take what wasn't hers, water, power, quiet, and hide behind rules she bent. I thought I'd lose, outnumbered, out HOA, till I stopped asking permission and started swinging back. Not with fists, but with proof, patience, and a stinky twist she never saw coming. She's out there still. Devon's email says she's hosing cars across town. But here we're free. So here's the deal, folks. Boundaries matter. You don't have to yell or beg. Just stand your ground, clever and calm. When someone pushes, push back. Maybe with a hose, maybe with a laugh. Life's too short for soggy yards and smug thieves. Protect what's yours. Lean on your neighbors. And don't let the Karens run the show. Mine lost her crown. Yours can too. Now, go water your own plants, sip that coffee, and smile. Peace feels damn good when you earn it.